Welcome, everyone. Today I'm diving into one of the most chilling and puzzling cases in American history, the Axeman of New Orleans. Picture this. It's 1918. The vibrant streets of New Orleans are filled with the sounds of jazz and the scent of Creole cuisine. But beneath the lively surface of New Orleans, a shadowy figure lurks, a sinister presence that would come to be known as the Axeman. The Axeman's reign of terror began in May 1918 and lasted until October 1919. His modus operandi? Breaking into homes and attacking residents with an axe. What separated him from other killers was his bizarre demand. He promised to spare anyone who played jazz music in their homes on specific nights. Imagine the city, gripped with fear, and yet filled with the sounds of jazz as a desperate plea for safety. The Axeman's letter to the newspaper even stated, "I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose home a jazz band is in full swing." Despite the fear and the desperate measures, the Axeman was never caught. His identity remains one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries. Was he a deranged jazz lover, a vengeful spirit, or something else entirely? The Axeman of New Orleans left behind a legacy of fear and fascination. The early life of the Axeman. As we delve deeper into the mystery of the Axeman of New Orleans, we must ask ourselves, who was this shadowy figure before he became a notorious killer? While his true identity remains a mystery, let's explore some of the theories and potential clues about his early life. One popular theory is that the Axeman was an immigrant, possibly Italian, due to the fact that many of his victims were Italian grocers. New Orleans was a melting pot of cultures in the early 20th century, and tensions between various ethnic communities were not uncommon. Could the Axeman's vendetta have been rooted in these social conflicts? Some speculate that the Axeman had a deep personal connection to music, possibly a failed musician who turned his frustrations into a deadly obsession. His peculiar demand for jazz to be played in order to spare lives hints at an intimate connection with this genre. Was he a failed musician, perhaps, who turned his frustrations into a deadly obsession? Or was he someone who simply found solace in jazz, using its rhythms to mask the sounds of his heinous acts? Some even suggest that the Axeman might have had a troubled childhood, marked by violence or neglect, which later manifested in his brutal behavior. It's possible that he grew up in an abusive household or was exposed to crime at an early age, shaping him into the monster he would become. While we may never know the true origins of the Axeman, these theories provide a glimpse into the possible factors that could have influenced his descent into infamy. The enigma of his early life only adds to the chilling allure of this unsolved case. Chapter 3. The First Murders. As the moon cast eerie shadows over the streets of New Orleans, the Axeman's reign of terror began to unfold. It was May 23, 1918, when the first known victims, Joseph and Catherine Maggio, were discovered in their home. The couple, well-known grocers in the Italian community, were brutally attacked in their sleep. The scene was gruesome. Joseph's throat had been slashed with a straight razor, and Catherine's skull had been crushed by an axe. The brutality of the attack sent shockwaves through the community. The police were baffled, finding little evidence to point them towards the killer. However, a peculiar detail stood out. The Axeman had left the murder weapon behind, an axe that belonged to the Maggios themselves. Just weeks later, the killer struck again. This time, it was Louis Bessumer and his mistress, Harriet Lowe, who fell victim. Though they survived the initial attack, Harriet would later succumb to her injuries in the hospital. The modus operandi was strikingly similar: an axe, a nighttime attack, and a targeted assault on Italian grocers. The city was gripped by fear. Rumors spread like wildfire, and the media sensationalized the attacks, dubbing the unknown assailant the Axeman. The randomness of the killings, combined with the lack of clear motive, created an atmosphere of paranoia and dread. People began to lock their doors at night, and the sound of jazz music filled the air as residents hoped to appease the killer's bizarre demand. As the body count rose, so did the mystery. Who was this merciless killer, and why did he choose to target these specific victims? The police, were no closer to solving the case, and the Axeman's shadow loomed large over New Orleans. The Axeman's modus operandi. As the city of New Orleans grappled with fear and uncertainty, the Axeman's pattern began to emerge more clearly. The killer's choice of weapon was always the same: an axe, usually taken from the victim's own home. His attacks were marked by their brutality and precision, often occurring in the dead of night, when his targets were most vulnerable. The Axeman seemed to have a particular focus on Italian grocers, which led many to speculate that his motives were rooted in ethnic hatred, or perhaps a personal vendetta. However, the randomness of the attacks made it difficult for the police to pinpoint a clear motive. The killer's ability to evade capture added another layer of complexity to the case, as he left little to no evidence at the crime scenes. The peculiarities didn't end there. On multiple occasions, the Axeman would break into homes without leaving any signs of forced entry, leading some to believe he possessed a key or had an uncanny ability to pick locks. This only fueled the public's paranoia, as they felt that no home was truly safe from his reach. One of the most chilling aspects of the Axeman's modus operandi was his penchant for taunting the authorities and the public. He sent letters to the local newspapers, filled with cryptic messages and ominous warnings. In one infamous letter, he declared that he would spare anyone who played jazz music in their homes on a specific night, claiming that he had a fondness for the genre. This bizarre demand led to a citywide jazz celebration, with music filling the streets in an attempt to ward off the killer. Despite these clues, the police were no closer to capturing the Axeman. The lack of forensic technology at the time, combined with the killer's cunning, made the investigation a daunting task. The city remained on edge, with each new attack deepening the sense of dread. As the Axeman's reign of terror continued, the city of New Orleans found itself gripped by an all-encompassing fear. The seemingly random nature of his attacks made everyone a potential target, and the residents began to take extreme measures to protect themselves. Iron bars were installed on windows, doors were fortified, and families took turns staying awake through the night, keeping a vigilant watch. The media played a significant role in amplifying the anxiety. Newspapers published sensational headlines and gruesome details of the murders, feeding the public's morbid curiosity and deepening their paranoia. Every shadow, every creak in the night, became a potential harbinger of the Axeman's arrival. Communities grew suspicious of one another. Neighbors who had once shared friendly conversations now eyed each other with distrust. Rumors spread like wildfire, each more outlandish than the last. Some claimed that the Axeman was a supernatural entity, a demon summoned to punish the city for its sins. Others believed he was a deranged musician, driven to madness by his obsession with jazz. In this climate of fear, the police were inundated with tips and false leads. Innocent people found themselves accused and ostracized, their lives upended by mere suspicion. The authorities, desperate to restore order, conducted raids and rounded up suspects, but each arrest only seemed to deepen the mystery. Despite the fear, the people of New Orleans showed remarkable resilience. On the night the Axeman demanded jazz, a city gripped by terror came together, not in celebration, but in a desperate act of unity. With music filling the air, they defied the terror that had taken hold of their lives. It was a brief respite, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit could prevail. But the respite was short-lived. The Axeman struck again, shattering the fragile sense of security that had momentarily taken hold. The city was plunged back into a state of dread, and the hunt for the killer resumed with renewed urgency. The Jazz Letter. Amidst the chaos in New Orleans, a letter arrived that cemented the legend of the Axeman. On March 13, 1919, the Times-Picayune published a chilling missive from the killer. The letter sent shivers down every resident's spine. The Axeman declared he would spare anyone playing jazz on March 19, 1919. Homes, bars, and dance halls reverberated with jazz. The letter, intended to instill fear, paradoxically united a city desperate for survival. For one night, the Axeman's terror was overshadowed by jazz. As the haunting echoes of jazz faded into memory, the relentless pursuit for the Axeman intensified. Detectives pored over the crime scenes with renewed vigor, meticulously analyzing every piece of evidence. The Axeman's brutal modus operandi left little to chance, but with every murder, a clearer picture began to emerge. Blood patterns, weapon marks, and the peculiar choice of entry points were scrutinized, each clue bringing them one step closer to the elusive murderer. Despite their best efforts, the Axeman remained a ghost, always one step ahead. The murders eventually ceased, but the fear and uncertainty lingered. The investigation, though exhaustive, left more questions than answers. Time passed, but the mystery of the Axeman endured. As the investigation into the Axeman's brutal reign reached a fever pitch, the spotlight inevitably turned towards potential suspects. Among them was Joseph Mumfrey, a petty criminal with a violent past. His sudden disappearance after the final Axeman murder raised significant suspicion. Another suspect was a local musician known for his erratic behavior. The investigation also explored a mafia connection, as many victims were Italian immigrants. Psychologists attempted to reconstruct the mind of this enigmatic killer, painting a portrait of a deeply disturbed and methodically brutal individual. Despite extensive efforts, none of the suspects could be conclusively tied to the murders. The city of New Orleans, though relieved by the end of the killings, was left with a lingering sense of unease. As the Axeman's reign of terror ended, New Orleans was left with chilling speculation. The public turned to theories to make sense of the mystery. One theory suggested the Axeman was a supernatural entity. Another posited he was a deranged musician obsessed with jazz. Some believed the murders were a cover for organized crime. Despite myriad theories, the Axeman's identity remains a mystery. The case continues to captivate and baffle. As theories swirled, the Axeman of New Orleans vanished as mysteriously as he appeared. The last attack was in October 1919, leaving the city in uneasy relief. Did the Axeman simply vanish into thin air, or did he continue his dark spree under another name, in another city? Some believe he died or was imprisoned. Others think he moved to a different city. Reports of similar attacks elsewhere suggest he continued his spree. New Orleans breathed a sigh of relief, but another city may have fallen under his shadow. The Axeman remains an enigma, a chilling figure whose story captivates and terrifies. Thank you for joining us on this journey into one of New Orleans' darkest mysteries. Until next time, stay vigilant, and remember, the past lingers in the shadows. The past, the Axeman of New Orleans may have vanished, but his legacy endures, casting a long shadow over the city's history. The terror he inflicted left a permanent scar, altering the psyche of New Orleans. The tale of the Axeman has inspired countless books, movies, and even music. Each retelling adds layers to the mythos. His story serves as a grim reminder of the fear that once gripped the city. In the years following the Axeman's disappearance, New Orleans sought to reclaim normalcy. Jazz, the music the Axeman claimed to love, continued to flourish. It became a symbol of the city's enduring spirit. The very thing the killer used to instill fear became a source of strength and unity. Local folklore transformed the Axeman into a spectral figure, a ghost story that parents would tell their children to keep them indoors at night. The legend of the Axeman became a part of New Orleans' rich tapestry of myths and legends, a dark chapter that contrasts with the city's vibrant culture and joyous celebrations. The Axeman's story also serves as a cautionary tale about the darker side of human nature. It reminds us of the importance of vigilance, community, and the relentless pursuit of justice. As the years turned into decades, the fear once associated with the Axeman began to fade, but the fascination with his story only grew. True crime enthusiasts and historians continue to delve into the mystery, hoping to uncover new clues or insights that could finally solve the case. In the end, the Axeman of New Orleans remains an enigma, a chilling reminder of a time when the city was held captive by an unseen terror. His legacy is a testament to the enduring power of mystery and the human fascination with the macabre. The Axeman of New Orleans remains a figure shrouded in mystery, influencing popular culture in fascinating ways. From literature to television, his legend captivates audiences with horror and intrigue. Numerous books explore his crimes, blending fact and fiction. The Axeman's story has also appeared on TV, notably in American Horror Story Coven. His infamous jazz letter inspired eerie songs. Theater productions dramatized the fear and uncertainty of his spree. Though never caught, the Axeman's story continues to resonate, a chilling reminder of unknown dangers. As we reach the end of our journey into the chilling saga of the Axeman of New Orleans, one question remains unanswered. Who was he? Despite numerous investigations, theories, and speculations, the true identity of the Axeman remains a mystery to this day. The enigma of the Axeman's identity has only deepened over the years, becoming a subject of fascination for historians, criminologists, and true crime enthusiasts alike. Some believe he was a transient, moving from city to city, leaving a trail of terror in his wake. Others speculate that he was a local, someone who blended seamlessly into the fabric of New Orleans society, hiding in plain sight. There are those who theorize that the Axeman was more than one person, perhaps a group of individuals who shared a macabre interest in murder and jazz. This theory, while intriguing, raises even more questions about the coordination and motives behind such a conspiracy. The lack of definitive evidence has allowed the Axeman's legend to grow, fueled by the unknown and the unknowable. Each new piece of information, each new theory, only adds to the complexity of the case, making it one of the most enduring mysteries in true crime history. The Axeman's story is a stark reminder of the limits of our understanding, a testament to the fact that some questions may never be answered. But perhaps it is this very uncertainty that keeps us captivated, drawing us back to the dark streets of New Orleans, to the haunting notes of jazz, and to the shadowy figure of the Axeman. As we close this chapter, we are left with a sense of unease, knowing that the Axeman's true identity may forever remain hidden in the shadows. Yet, it is this very mystery that ensures his story will never be forgotten, a chilling tale that continues to intrigue and terrify. While the Axeman's identity remains a mystery, modern advancements in forensic science and investigative techniques have brought fresh eyes to the case. Over the years, several cold case detectives and amateur sleuths have revisited the Axeman's crimes, hoping to uncover new clues that might finally reveal who he was. Digital archives, DNA analysis, and geographic profiling have breathed new life into this century-old mystery. Some researchers have even turned to psychological profiling, attempting to understand the mind behind the murders. These modern methods have sparked renewed interest and inspired new theories, but the puzzle remains frustratingly incomplete. In 2019, a breakthrough came when a team of criminologists used advanced facial recognition software on old photographs from the era. Although no definitive match was found, the technology provided a short list of potential suspects, reigniting public interest in the case. Despite these advancements, the Axeman remains an elusive figure. The evidence is scant, and the passage of time has only added to the complexity. Yet the persistent efforts of modern investigators show that the quest for the truth is far from over. As we continue to search for answers, the story of the Axeman serves as a reminder of the enduring power of mystery. It challenges us to keep questioning, to keep seeking, and to never give up on uncovering the truth. Who knows? Perhaps one day, a new piece of evidence will finally bring closure to this haunting chapter in history. As we reach the end of our journey into the enigmatic world of the Axeman of New Orleans, we are left with more questions than answers. The Axeman's reign of terror, shrouded in the rhythms of jazz and the shadows of night, remains one of the most perplexing chapters in American criminal history. Despite the advances in forensic science and the tireless efforts of modern investigators, the true identity of the Axeman continues to elude us. This enduring mystery captivates us not just because of the brutality of the crimes, but because of the cultural and psychological layers that surround it. The Axeman's letter, with its eerie demand for jazz music, adds a surreal, almost theatrical dimension to the case. It's a reminder of how fear can grip a community and how legends can grow in the fertile soil of uncertainty. The Axeman's story is a haunting tapestry woven with fear, intrigue, and the relentless human pursuit of answers. Answers that continue to elude us even today. It challenges us to think about the nature of evil and the ways in which history and myth intertwine. It urges us to question what we know and to remain vigilant in our quest for answers, no matter how elusive they may be. As we ponder the legacy of the Axeman, we are reminded of the resilience of the human spirit. The people of New Orleans, despite their fear, continued to live, love, and play their jazz. They turned a moment of terror into a testament of their strength and culture, Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the chilling mystery of the Axeman of New Orleans. The tale of a jazz-loving killer remains one of the most perplexing and terrifying unsolved cases in history, leaving us with more questions than answers. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content on unsolved cases and the darkest corners of the human mind. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this case. Do you think the Axeman was ever close to being caught? Or is he still a shadow lurking in the pages of history? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, stay curious, stay safe, and keep exploring the mysteries that surround us. Until next time.